because everybody does realize that Tinubu is a failure, a total failure. That Tinubu administration has put Nigerians into too much poverty and penury. That Tinubu's administration has put Nigeria into too much insecurity. So different people who believe they have solutions to these problems are now coming out to proffer solutions. Why President Bola Ahmed Tinubu should not, must not continue as President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria come 2027 election. And I believe that if this election is only 30% free and fair, Tinubu will lose the election. Only 30% free and fair, Tinubu will lose the election. The truth we are facing today is that Inec is not an umpire, not to talk of a neutral umpire. Inec is a player with APC, pretending to be an umpire in the 2027 election, which is very unfortunate. But Nigerians must find a way to address this issue in the forthcoming election, because I believe that it should not be accepted the way and manner they have been conducting themselves.
Okay, Bloomberg, a global news medium, reported recently that Peter Obi entering the race is fragmenting the opposition further. As a matter of fact, they put it succinctly that his running is deliberately dividing the opposition to favor President Tinubu. How do you respond to this story?
I think that's the worst blackmail against Peter Obi, because Peter remains the front runner in the election. So how can his entry? It's not as if he's a late entrant. So how can they be talking about his entry being something that will help to favor Tinubu? Who else were they looking at in opposition? In your own opinion, what do you think they mean?
My own is to ask question. You have to respond.
Well, I don't know who else they are looking at as opposition leader. Atiku certainly is not able to constitute the main opposition political leader for the 2027 election. He doesn't even have the energy. He doesn't have the capacity. He has shown his capacity in the past. He has not been able to sustain it. He will not be able to sustain it. And as at this 2027 election, I am certain that his energy has seriously trimmed down. His ability and capacity to present himself as a major opposition political party has seriously trimmed down. I have the privilege of being a governorship candidate of his party in the year 2003 when he ran for president under the umbrella of the Action Congress. At that time, he was a sitting vice president. At that time, his business empire were very much alive. But go back to the records of that election. The performance was abysmal. And that was Atiku at his highest, at his peak. So if by 2003, he was not able to deliver effectively as the main opposition political party, and then you go to his best performance has been in the year 2019. And if you go by the records of 2019, Atiku won the whole of Southeast. Imo, Abia, Enugu, Anambra, Ebonyi. Atiku also won the whole of South-South. And that is the more reason why he has no business stopping or blocking a Southeast or South-South person from becoming the presidential candidate of his party for the year 2007. No group has supported Atiku as much as the Southeast and the South-South. So now that he has decided to run against the Southeast and South-South, he has lost what I consider to be his real base. And I don't know where he's expecting that the votes are going to come from this time around, because he doesn't command that kind of followership in the north, and it's not going to be manufactured overnight. He doesn't command the followership of the youths. He doesn't command the special followership of the poor. He doesn't command the special followership of the women. So where is he going to derive this support base? And he has not provided any special economic program with which people should defer to supporting him for the 2027 election as compared to Peter Obi. Normally, in any economic situation that is being messed up like we have in Nigeria today, you're going to look out for the most frugal person, the person who has developed and shown himself to be the most frugal manager of the economy. That is the person you should be handing over the Nigerian economy in 2027 to manage. And there is no other person than Peter Obi.
Interestingly, presidential spokesperson Daniel Bwala has dismissed Peter Obi's chances in 2027, saying that the massive followership he commanded in 2023 cannot be repeated in 2027. As a matter of fact, he said most of the followers in 2027, 2023 had dumped him and have moved on. How do you respond to that?
Well, does anybody take Bwala seriously?
Why not?
Did he not speak in praises for Atiku in the last election? And today, is he not speaking from both sides of his mouth in support of Tinubu? If by any means, any of the other candidates whom he's supposed to win the election, Bwala will run back and plead with them to support and accommodate him. So these are people without principles. It's just like taking seriously what somebody like Kenneth Okonkwo says. People have asked me questions about Kenneth Okonkwo, and my only answer to them is that Kenneth Okonkwo is permanently living in bondage. And until he extricates himself from that bondage, nobody should pay attention to him, because he has nothing to offer. They think that being political spokesperson of a candidate means that you have to lie through your teeth for them. No, you must be able to say certain truth. Can Bwala say that he feels secured when he goes to his state? Can Bwala say that students and children in the schools in his state or his community feel secured under a Tinubu administration? Can Bwala say that there is no poverty ravaging his community and the people around him? Can Bwala say that he's not aware that Tinubu does not have enough presence of mind to be able to manage the economic, political, and security situation in the country? Can Bwala say that he's not aware that Bola Ahmed Tinubu has failed in that constitutional requirement that is required to protect the lives and properties of citizens of this country? So when you bring out characters like Bwala, I think we will be pleading with you to allow us to discuss some more serious people rather than talk about Bwala or talk about Kenneth Okonkwo or talk about Dino Melaye. These are entertainers, and I think we should know that the problem facing the country is much bigger than these characters.
All right, the push to remove President Tinubu in 2027, is it genuinely about the suffering masses, or is it about the political class reclaiming power?
It is about the suffering masses, because the people out there are suffering. They are in penury. There is poverty in the land. There is insecurity in the land. People are already voting with their feet. Many people in Nigeria today would prefer to attempt to travel through the Sahara Desert and die attempting to leave this country than to remain in Nigeria. I challenge you, even though I know it's not possible, But if every Nigerian is given the opportunity that he can leave this country freely, there is flight ticket, there is a destination you can go, you may not find up to 10% of the population staying back in this country. The more you have people flee from this country, the more you have Nigerians living in other countries, being chased like animals.